Central.
Ricky, I'm wearing this one for you.
Ricky, I'm wearing this for us, our soccer team, because you're going to solely support Arsenal, right? Yeah. All right.
Oh, fuck, that burrito's kicking back. Just straight fucking habanero right now.
You ready?
No, hang on.
Let me
I
know
need
when
a...
you're ready. Ricky's going to get this whole intro.
Like, my brother got me... He's growing peppers.
Yeah.
And it was a mango habanero, like, chutney. And, like, I put that on the... And it was just, like, all I'm getting back on that burp was just straight habanero on the back of my throat.
Okay. Ricky's going to wash your pan. This is a minute of the recording. You ready?
All right. That's clear. That's clear.
All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video on MVP Sports. My name is Jake Neverman, and I am here with my lovely co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today, we are breaking down the NBA preview for the Eastern Conference Central Division. This one might hit home for a lot of our viewers because this was a Chicago-based channel for a lot of the time. We've expanded beyond
We branched out, but at the core, in our hearts, we are still fans of Chicago sports.
I will probably not be saying much during the first team of the segment. I'll just let the other one rant because, you know,
we like
to say impartial on this channel. But again, before we get started, down below, check out our Discord, join the greatest community in the world. Also, our Patreon and our channel memberships down below. You get videos a week earlier than they are on YouTube, with a lot of the draft content we'll be having coming out soon. And then Dave and I will be starting a podcast soon. We'll probably be throwing little Patreon videos here and there, throwing darts at a board through the entire NBA season. If you want to join us on that journey and support us, down below, Patreon and channel membership. But yeah, that's my quick little in-house rant. Here we go, Dave. The Central Division. We are going to start with the Chicago Bulls. The players they lost in the offseason.
Lost?
We both did it.
Really gonna hurt on this one.
Thomas Satoransky goes to the New Orleans Pelicans along with Garrett Temple. Daniel Tice goes to the Houston Rockets. Thaddeus Young to the San Antonio Spurs along with Al-Farouq Aminu. And then Lauri Markkanen to the Cleveland Cavaliers. That hurts. In the draft, they added Ayo Dosunmu. In free agency, they added Alex Caruso and Tony Bradley, a.k.a. Wendell Carter Jr.'s father. And in the trade, they acquired, and obviously in two sign-in trades, they acquired Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan, and they acquired Derrick Jones Jr.
So,
go.
Sign-in trade.
Let me go first. Before
yeah, I'll let you get all of your thoughts out of the way because my session is just going to be a jam fest, and like I'm going to try to not throw shade while talking about my team.
So, the only negatives with this team so far, Kobe White will miss the first month or so, I believe, and the Patrick Williams, we don't know. It said 4 to 6 weeks at the time, so he might be I think upwards of a month, lower ends of 2 weeks in the regular season, somewhere in between there. We're going to see him. Those are really the only downfalls of this team currently. So my thoughts and expectations on the Bulls. I've been talking about tiers, that I have tiers this year in the Eastern Conference. We're not going to say them because they give away our predictions of like where we're going to have teams. But I think the Bulls are teetering in between that 6th seed and the play-in this year. I believe that's where they're at. Dave, I can't even look at you right now. I believe that's where they're at this season. One of my big question marks with them is going to be consistent bench production. I do like a lot of their bench pieces. And then the big question mark to me for them is Billy Donovan. I have not ever been a Billy Donovan fan. I think Chris Paul carried him to the playoffs with the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is what Chris Paul does. And will he be able to cope? A lot of the question marks I had with this team last year is I think they should have been in the plan, even with Zach LaVine missing the COVID they did. They lost a lot of games after the trade deadline that they should not have. They had empty corner sets with Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic that worked tremendously, and then they just decided to go away from them towards the end of the season. That's a question mark in the coaching ability for me. I do think they had one of the best off seasons in the NBA. I don't say the best. I think the Heat had the best, and the Lakers had the best. I think those two had the best, because I think they're NBA Finals contenders. The Bulls are not NBA Finals contenders. I know that should not be a bad thing of me saying that. That should be a realistic thing of me saying that. But honestly, I was a big fan of Patrick Williams. I'll be interested to see his impact in year 2. Kobe White can finally settle into the role that he was supposed to run on, that he's not a point guard, that he's not a starting point guard, he's not a starting point guard, he's not a starting point guard. Sorry, I have to ring that home about 4 times because we had Bulls fans in our Discord down below just yell at us last year that he was a starting point guard. He was a starting point guard. Not you. You weren't the one who did it. You know.
Yeah, I know.
Reason, you know I'm looking at you. Reason, you know I'm looking at you. I am happy for our Bulls fans, though. They finally have some happiness with their team. I don't hate the Bulls like some people think I do.
It comes off that way.
It does not come off that way. But yeah, there's
my
rant. I think they have expectations for me of a 6 through 8 seed. I think if they would somehow fall below the 8 seed, I think that's a giant underachievement for them. I think 6 through 8 is my realistic expectation for them. Now, if I will say, sorry, one thing before I let you go on your rant.
Yeah.
This team does have the ability to be the Knicks of last year, in my opinion, where we see all these injuries throughout the East last year, and the Knicks kind of just chugged along, stayed healthy, had very good defense. The one thing I will agree with you, I know
played their starters 40 minutes a night.
Yeah, well, that's Tibbs. The one thing I know I will agree with you on is I don't think the Bulls' defense is a liability, as some people have said. I think their rim protection is a giant liability, but that does not equal bad defense. Their perimeter defense is actually very solid with Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan getting added, and Zach LaVine being a somewhat underrated defender last year. I just think Bulls fans, preseason, they've looked great. They're also playing their starters more than anybody else is in the preseason. So, and the Pelicans were missing Zion and Brandon Ingram, so kind of missing their 2 best players. But yeah, Bulls fans should be excited about this year, finally. I just think that they're a year away, is what I would say, from like this team could make it into the second round and further. That's a year away in my mind. Go.
Okay. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. The headband is here because we're apparently Team Headband. The Keras Show has arrived in Chicago. Lakers fans, as you shared with me, Jake, are now just clowning on Bulls fans because we're the same. Turns out Alex Caruso, after a couple games, we're all just like, oh, we get it. We thought you were obnoxious LA fans, but you are legitimately correct in the fact that he is just a fantastic fucking player who deserves more recognition, and I can't wait for it. But also, we have a couple more members of the Headband crew. Obviously, Iota Sumu coming off the bench. Probably going to be a third stringer if I had to guess. Probably won't get a ton of minutes, but again, Headband. Alize Johnson apparently is our backup 4 at the moment, who I goddamn hate right now, but he does rock the headband. Kobe will rock the headband from time to time. Like, we're going to be Team Headband. Like, just know this is the look to get used to as a Bulls fan. Addressing the team, though, I think that you're right. The offseason moves were phenomenal. I don't think any other team improved as much as we did in a single offseason this past year. Yes, other teams added pieces like Kyle Lowry, where it cemented them as a top team in the East down there in Miami. But at the same time, that was a one addition. We flipped an entire fucking roster. And by we, I mean AKME. Flipped that roster in such a short period of time. He kicked the fucking trash to the curb and got us talent, legitimate talent. And I think that every Bulls fan has every reason to be excited because for the first time in a long time, we do have a chance to be a playoff team. I think we do have a very good chance to head into the playoffs with a very good roster because this team last year, prior to Zach missing games, we were the 6th seed in the NBA in the East. The 6th seed. Let me just, again, for those who forgot, we were the fucking 6th seed prior to his injury. So don't be like, oh, they missed the playoffs last year. Our fucking best player who put up insane offensive numbers, who still gets slept on, didn't have a point guard next to him, literally playing around a guy in Patrick Williams who wasn't going to shoot the ball because he was just afraid to. He's like, I'll defend, don't make me do anything else. All my energy's on the defensive side. Guess who his other starters were? Lowry Markin, whose ass is on the fucking curb. Let's see, Christian Felicio got serious minutes for the Bulls. Did we upgrade there? We might have upgraded there from Christian Felicio. Like, this man was playing a fucking 1v5 out there on offense and still put up historic numbers offensively. So people need to get the fuck off his back. I think the backcourt duo of Lonzo and he are going to be excellent. We saw Zach can play defense, not only last year, but in the Olympics. He shined out because, like, you know what? We got some interesting roster moves at the Olympics. He had to play defense, and he did, and he looked fantastic doing it because he's an athletic kite beast out there. Like, it's what he does. So I'm excited that not only is he not going to be expected to be the entire offense of this team, but also he can give a little more energy on the back end because he's just going to get so many easy buckets. So far in the preseason, backdoor cuts are just money. I mean, he's untouchable elevating at the rim. It's going to be magic watching Caruso and Lonzo feed him the ball as he attacks the rim. It's truly been so much fun to start the preseason. I know 2 games against 2 very bad teams. We kicked the shit out of them both, though, so fuck off. Like, when you have a plus 45 in your first game as your plus minus, and then I think a plus 30 in your second one, like, I'm sorry. No other team in the NBA is doing this to other teams in preseason, so why should we get the fucking, like, it's preseason? We're kicking the shit out of teams because we have 3 All-Stars in our lineup right now. People want to be like, DeMar DeRozan's still a trash bro. DeMar DeRozan has learned how to pass the ball, and for the first time in a long time, he's not the number 1 option on his team. He's someone who knows his role as a wing fucking creator. He can knock down the mid-range like nobody else in the league. Like, I'm so excited because he is going to be our half-court general. We've got Lonzo to run the fast break, Caruso to do a little bit of both, to be honest with you guys. And then Vucevic can run the high post and pass out of there. Like, really, it feels like our starting 5, when Pat returns, has no real weaknesses because we have that great mix. I know, rim protection. Go fuck yourself, rim protection. We have no real weaknesses out there because we have just a fantastic mix of athletic defenders who can step up and cover for the guys who don't have that aspect of their game. Bench-wise, couldn't be more excited about it because Caruso is a massive add. Javonte Green, who, to be fair, I slept on. I didn't know this man existed. I knew he was a Celtic.
Take a step back.
Nope. I knew he was a Celtic. I knew that he got a couple minutes here and there. I wasn't excited about him. I watched him play 2 preseason games, and it's hard to not get excited about the level effort. That is, I don't know if he'll ever make shots at the NBA level like it. He's David Nwaba, basically, for us. Okay. Archie was all effort, but had no body. Javonte has a fucking athletic body. Like, he legit, I think, was guarding 4s out there for us and looked solid doing it. I mean, he did make Lowry look like a bitch, but, like, who doesn't these days? So when you got a guarding a 7-footer, I mean, let's be honest. I just think that it's got great upside because I think that Derrick Jones Jr., there was going to be a lot of pressure on him to be that guy who's going to defend multiple positions because his offensive kit is so poor. And now we've got another guy who could potentially help out with that. So I think from a bench unit, like, I'm really enjoying the idea of being able to mix and match with Caruso, Kobe White backcourts. Both of them can get their own. Both of them can facilitate. But Caruso running offense, I feel so much more confident with. Even though Kobe White did show growth at the end of last year, and he was getting more confident as a passer, this is a massive thing for him because he doesn't have to worry about, creating for others as much as he can worry about getting to the right spot on the floor and knocking down shots. Because when we've seen him play his best, he is just a walking fucking flamethrower out there. Like, he is one of the, like, if I get hot, just feed me the ball till I'm not. Because we're talking about one of the guys, I think, to start the season last year, didn't he make like 7 threes in a row? Like, he was just absolute fire out there. So he is a hot or not player, and I think that we will lean into that. And again, it gets better because we added Matt Thomas, who is older, can knock down threes, can't do really anything else, but it's that role. It's like, hey, we're bringing you in to do a specific thing in limited minutes, and that's very low expectation-wise. Tony Bradley is going to have a lot of lift, though, this year, and that's my fear. That is the backup center position is a big question mark. I love Marko Simonovic. It's very clear he's not strong enough to be an NBA center. Excuse me. Oh man, that burns.
Right, he's not ready. Marcus Simonovic is not ready
physically.
Right
he's not physically ready to defend NBA centers at the level we would need him to. And I think that's the biggest problem because, like, I think skill-wise, I got a little hair sticking through and it's really bugging me. Skill-wise, he is really smart. He is a smart basketball player, but the problem is just when you look at his body, he's not fully developed yet, and that's fine. He's a young kid. But I need to take a step back because I personally was like, I'm watching this kid in Europe and loving it. He's going to need a second in the NBA to mature and build his body, get that physical development going, get some muscle added to his body. But, like, I legit think that we have above average depth at, the guard position. And at the wing, there's going to be some question marks. And at the center, there's definitely a question mark. But the bonus is we can play small. I think you're going to see Pat Williams playing the 5 for some units out there because he is able to defend legit almost anybody on the court, and he will be aggressive about it, and then it'll be help defense with these athletic guys like Troy Brown Jr. and DJJ, I think somebody who I hope gets cut and Stanley Johnson, if he doesn't, can help us defensively. But like I really hope he gets cut in favor of like Ethan Thompson, who just looks like he could jump out at the gym. Like I think that's the direction, and I love the fact that the Bulls as a team have changed mentalities from like high floor, low ceiling skill players, quote unquote, to athleticism. We're valuing athletes and we're valuing fit to the roster because there was no way we would take risks on guys like we're doing right now. And I think it's going to pay off massive for us. So, no, I really do believe the ceiling for the Bulls is maybe a 3 seed in the East. I think 6 is acceptable. But I think realistically, people are sleeping the fact that Vucevic, DeMar, and Zach LaVine. We have three potential All Stars on our team, former All Stars, I can say safely. And people were just like discounting that entirely. We have a point guard now. We have a bench unit. We have backups. We have depth everywhere except for the center. And I think that's the big thing throughout the year is just my one question, and I'm not going to put it out there, but Ricky keeps pushing it, so I have to now. Is Kobe White going to be on the trade block to get us a 4-5 who can give us solid minutes to give us that depth because we do have really excellent guard depth, and if Io could step up, great, we're in business. That's not the end of the world. I wouldn't give up on Kobe White for dirt though at this point. He's a flamethrower at times, and he's only shown growth. So no. You
good? You get it all out?
I feel like I got it all out.
All right, Dave. We're doing it for every team. So I'm not. We both talked about the Bulls for like 5 minutes each. So we can't spend the entire time. I would agree with you. The only points I did want to make, you made it, is that backup center position is going to be a big problem. I do love Tony Bradley, and he gave us a couple good stretches while he was in Philly, but a long-term backup center, I'm not really sure he's a viable option for an entire
season. I see us playing small when Voos is on the bench. I think that's our best option. Now, giving up Thad really hurt us a lot, and I think that that's the only thing we got to figure out.
All right. One player to buy and one player to sell, Dave.
One player to buy on this team, I would probably say Lonzo Ball is going to be the player to buy for me because I think that everybody still has that image of him with his horrible shot from LA. He kind of went under the radar last year because
he didn't go under the radar.
Bledsoe, well, not you, but like Bledsoe got a lot of the time as a starting point guard, so he was playing as a 2 guard, which a lot of us think might be a better role for him, like fit wise.
It is.
I'm not going there. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people are like,
in the half court
off ball player.
Sorry, I should say
half court. Yeah, because he does not attempt as many drives to the lane as a traditional point guard would. He doesn't get to the line as much, but his foul shot has gotten much better. He's improved his foul shot. He's improved his free throw percentage by a sizable chunk. And I think all in all, he's never had this many guys on the offensive end who he can feed for easy assists. Zion was a bucket anytime he got on the ball. B.I. would create for himself more often than not. He was an excellent catch and shoot 3, but it felt like that Pelicans offense was really predicated around B.I. creating for himself and Zion kind of doing his own thing and just catching lobs. So I think that Zoe has a lot of room to show his growth. His stat line might not be a crazy, thing, but like we're looking at a guy who's going to get open threes and get backdoor cutters for easy assists for lobs all day. So I think that he's the guy who's going to show the most growth, personally.
And sell?
You
got to pick one, Dave. You got to pick somebody.
Sell.
I'll give you a minute to think. I agree with you. I'm buying all Lonzo Ball stock. I possibly could. I've been high on Lonzo Ball for probably 2 years now. Again, our Discord down below, if you're not a part of it, we've had an ongoing conversation about Lonzo Ball, and certain Bulls fans criticize Lonzo Ball very heavily and now seem to love him because he's a Chicago Bull. I've just been harping on this guy. Increases shooting percentage every single year, increases offensive efficiency every single year. The dribble drive game is always going to be a weakness of his. It's just not his game, which is why in a half-court offense, he is going to be more viable on the wing as an off-ball player. And in the Bulls team, that's exactly what he can be when DeMar is going to be the half-court general. So Lonzo Ball, I talked Lonzo to Chicago into existence. I will take the tip of the cap for that one. I've been speaking that him and Zach as a backcourt and how perfect their fit is. And you just toss in DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic. The player to sell for me is... My
thing is, I'm just say it should be Tony Bradley, because
I don't
of
think he
like
has
the
stock,
challenge
though.
that's thrown at him. That's exactly. I'm gonna do mine as a challenge to Alize Johnson
Yeah.
because I pure straight hate him. And for literally no reason other than the fact that he's wearing a headband with dreads under it, and it just looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think that like he's a hustle player, and I just don't know that he's very good, but he's a hustle player on our bench who I think can fight for minutes. He's an end of the unit kind of guy. Troy Brown Jr. is someone who Bulls fans like. I think a lot of them have really high hopes for as like our bench wing. I'm not in the same camp.
I was torn between two. I'm going to do it just to take a jab at him. Sell Ayo Dosunmu. I don't think he has a role on this team right away, especially this year. I think he spends the year in the G League, if anything, because there's just no room for him in that. When Kobe White's healthy, him and Caruso are the backup guards. There's no you're not unless they trade Kobe White like we discussed. I don't think Ayo has a role on this team, so it's not much of a spoke on Ayo. It's just this team is built for Kobe and Caruso to be the backup guards. But with
that fits like it fits so good.
Yeah. Good. That was our Bulls talk. Is that okay, Dave? Was I impartial enough?
Jake, 6th seed is where you believe this team will be?
6 to 8, they could overachieve and get a 4, is what I said.
3 All-Stars, and you think that being higher than the 6th seed is overachieving?
Correct. Bench and Billy Donovan don't expire me. Sorry. I don't like.
I can't because we will just talk Bulls for the whole night.
So the next team is the Cleveland Cavaliers. The players they lost, obviously, a trade Taurean Prince to the Minnesota Timberwolves and Larry Nance Jr. to the Portland Trail Blazers. They did not lose anybody to free agency. They traded for Ricky Rubio and Lauri Markkanen, and they extended Jared Allen to that big $100 million extension. And in the draft at number 3 overall, they selected Evan Mobley. So, where exactly to start with this team? Clearly a young roster. Clearly the big question mark with this team is the Sexton-Garland fit. Is it the long-term vision of this team? Is it not their long-term vision? Is Sexton going to get moved throughout the year? Again, we do have a Cleveland fan, sadly. He's Detroit Lions and Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm sorry, man. He did see a championship more recently than both of us, so I mean, you can't really say much of the Cleveland Cavaliers. But
there's a certain Cleveland fan who really didn't appreciate that preseason game in Discord.
There? Oh yeah, Kai.
That's what Kai was not a fan of our takes on us kicking the living shit out of his starting unit for Cleveland.
So expectations: does this team have a chance to get into the back end of the playoffs?
Not a fucking shot.
Okay. Okay. I guess. It's not more talk this year. Obviously, the expectation is Darius Garland has to take the next step. That is, and
he jumped a lot.
And Isaac,
he got a lot better than last year.
I guess maybe
or the year prior.
One of a guy I'm very high on is Isaac Okoro. I really did enjoy what I saw from him last year, and him hopefully continuing to grow his offensive game this year. Defensively, he's probably top 15 defensively in the league right now already. I'm telling you, he is a tremendous defender.
He's a very good defender. I still think he was overdrafted for his defense. I don't think he has an offensive game. And I think that's
we saw flashes. We saw flashes, and that's all you want to see in a rookie year is growing his offensive game.
I guess, yeah. So that's their big thing is just this roster and its spacing. That's all we're going to try to address on this team is they tried to add guys who can stretch the floor. That would be a great way to describe, that word is equivalent to the move of getting Lauri Markkanen. Yeah. Adding Lauri to this team, I get it. You're taking a shot on a young guy who, at one point put up 18 and 7, I think. He was a good shooter, but then he got ruined by coaching. I don't know what's left under there. But at the same time, when you just sign a big deal for Jared Allen and you draft Mobley, my concern is getting those guys as many minutes as possible. Kevin Love is still on this roster.
He's coming off
for reasons unknown.
I don't think anybody wants his contract, and they are not willing to pay him the absurd amount of money they'd have to for a buyout. I think it's that simple. Nobody, who in their right mind is going to trade for Kevin Love right now?
No one should.
But somebody will probably.
The problem is that the Cavs think that he has value, whereas everyone else is like, give us a pick.
You ready for Galaxy Brain? We haven't talked about them. I think we'll talk about them later. Yeah, in this segment. We talked about the Pacers a lot and moving away from the Sabonis and Turner fit.
No, I'm just stopping.
Turner to somebody else. All right, they're getting more value back. Obviously, if they do trade we'll get into the Pacers. We'll talk about them later. I'm just saying, a Sabonis Kevin Love isn't the worst thing. It's better. I mean,
Sure.
it's not the worst thing.
Sure. If for K-Love's annual 30 games of the year,
Exactly.
they'll have issues with having too many games. Guys, I think Dean Wade I think Dean Wade is still like low key just super underrated as far as being a floor spacing four. J-Dub and me have been on that train for fucking years. The guy makes fucking like $100,000 and he just knocks down shots, floor spaces, and plays tough.
Yep.
So
he's better Kevin Love.
I think this team made really good moves this offseason, adding a perfect backup point guard, though. Ricky Rubio is a massive add, not only to helping the team win right now, but also being a mentor for Darius Garland and helping to share his game knowledge with the younger point guards on this roster. I love Rubio. I love what he brings to this team, and he's just a professional. He's been bounced around from team to team. We've seen him get better. He's fixed the holes in his game. So I'm just kind of excited to see where he goes from here. But like really, they just have such a wing problem on this team that I don't know how they're going to win games is my problem. I just think that offensively, you're going to have to lean again on Sexton and Garland to put up 20 a night each. And then after that, it's like, who's going to be the guy? Is Mobley ready to put up 20 a night? Or are they going to get, 12 out of Allen, 15 out of him, 12 out of somebody else? Like, it's going to be like more of a by committee kind of a scoring team. Yeah. Because I feel like it just, outside of their big two guards, it feels like it falls off a cliff offensively.
Yeah, I mean, obviously adding your franchise center for the future, somebody with like defensive versatility like that, the ability to stretch the floor, ability to handle, like Taco Fall is that guy. I'm just
and he was out during that preseason game. Let's be fair. Like we were missing Kobe and Pat, and they were missing Taco.
I had to set that one up. But no, genuinely, Evan Mobley. Yeah. I guess the vision right away is to play Mobley and Allen together, which we've seen in the preseason and
varying degrees. I think the problem that we saw was like they didn't use that size.
No,
like they had an advantage in the low post with 2 7-footers, and it didn't seem like they used it. So maybe it's just something that coaching wise they have to learn how to use the pieces on the court together. Because I think that Mobley's a fucking stud. Like
I mean, like
I don't know how you go wrong like with him at 3. So
that's another problem with me with them is it's Bickerstaff just always seems to be in the right place at the right time. When somebody gets fired, I feel like always I see the interim coach is JB Bickerstaff. Like that's happened 3 times I think so far. Like Memphis, Cleveland, and
honestly I don't know what the third one was.
Maybe it's only 2.
The coach was Houston a situation?
Yes, he coached in Houston too. Yeah, so Houston, Memphis, and Cleveland, right? Because he was the assistant coach in Cleveland, and then he coached 71 games and went 37-34. So it's just so many. Like, okay, you look at this team at the core: Garland, Sexton, Okoro, Mobley. I do really like that core. The question is, are you going to keep Sexton going forward? You just paid Jared Allen that money, but again, we talked about earlier. Contracts or whatever, somebody will take that Jared Allen contract. It's as simple as that. He's a very, very above average center for how young he is, and you have him locked down for 4 years now. So, again, people talking about contract numbers, it doesn't really worry me. The long-term vision, I still believe, would be Mobley has to beef up and learn the NBA physicality to be able to play. We're just stumbling over all words today.
We're out of practice.
Yeah, to play at the 5. But going forward is a Garland, Sexton, Okoro, somebody, and Mobley.
Is that Lowry?
No, it's Victor Wembanyama. But I'm just saying.
Oh my god! Could you imagine Wembanyama and Mobley? Oh my god!
It's please, so good, isn't it? It's so
please.
Because
please give that to me.
Wembanyama needs to play next to somebody who can be more physical, and that's exactly what you want.
Mobley if Mobley grows into that, though that's disgusting. I want it to happen. Fast forward time already.
2 years. Fast forward.
But like. The Sexton conversation always kind of struck me as weird because I would get it if he was not efficient, but like he's really worked on his game and like I get it he's selfish, but he also he hit like he's not shooting like 30% from 3 and taking 8 a game. Like
he doesn't have bad shot selection.
Shots.
Doesn't have bad shot selection. Like we talked about the Ben Simmons trades, and when I heard Cleveland was involved, I'm like, Sexton. It's Sexton. Like Sexton and Kevin Love. That's like the only reason somebody would trade for Kevin Love. Like
I would pull the trigger on that.
Sexton is. I think both teams win for that trade, honestly, because it gives them long-term vision. You play Mobley and Ben together, but different discussion. But
like Sexton
is if he learns to pass the ball even a little bit, he's an all-star. He's an all-star for a very long time. The scoring ability is already there. He's so young. He's going into his 4th year. His scoring ability is elite in the NBA. His defense is not as he's okay. He's not.
It's when the effort's on the defensive end.
Yeah,
he's fine.
But I don't I don't worry about the effort stuff because he played for a terrible team for his first 3 years. I think that changes when you go to a winning team. I genuinely do. For most players, obviously there's.
I think that that's something that's for some guys. Yeah.
Yes. I do still think that him and Garland can play together. I got the idea I didn't get the idea of them. I got the idea of letting Allen go if you're going to sign Sexton long term, but now you sign Allen long term. Just sign Sexton too. I don't understand the hesitancy of not signing Sexton long term. If you really want to change visions in a year, then you just trade him after you sign him long term and you have more value for him. It's
not like some other team wouldn't give him a big deal because he's already putting up ridiculous numbers at such an early point in his career.
Somebody will throw a max at him, a rookie max deal. Somebody will easily throw a rookie max deal at him. I would be very surprised if it's not the New Orleans Pelicans if they have the cap for him. That would be the team that I would think would do it.
I think the Pels or the Grizzlies.
Or Indiana too. Indiana, him and Brogdon if Levert doesn't work out long term. I know you're not high on Levert. So there's we just named 3 teams off the top of our head that would do it. So that's the reason you need to get him locked down long term. Obviously, you can match whatever. Short term for this team, there's guys like Taurean Prince. Obviously, you talked about Larry Markkinen. Who am I missing here? And Chetty. So there's kind of wish-washy guys in this roster. I think I can see their vision, which is why I'm okay. This is just another year for Cleveland fans. Enjoy the young talent. You probably won't win a ton of games, but you can see the vision there, and you have young talent, which is encouraging for a team that's rebuilding.
Yeah, guy that probably didn't get mentioned because he's always hurt. Dylan Windler.
If he was healthy,
loved him coming out of college. Yes, I loved him coming out of college. I think his first game he injured himselse. And then I think in his 3rd game back after he recovered from that one, he fucking did it again. So it's he's just unlucky. Yeah. But he's an awesome shot. If he's healthy to put together, love him. The fact that they signed Denzel Valentine makes me question a lot about this franchise, though.
Yeah.
He's a body, but I would sign G Leaguers over him. Legit undrafted free agent rookies are better than him.
We talked about him in the Discord before, but Cavaliers on this team, does he get any run at all?
They've got so many fucking 5s.
Yeah,
they've got so many. I think that's my problem is just the squish at the wrong position. They need to throw wings. They need young, talented wings to fill in on this. Kyle Guy should get a run. Yeah, 100% Kyle Guy gets a run. That one I feel really confident about. Cavaliers, I think, is going to be in the G League for another chunk of the year. He was a guy who it never all came together for him.
No, Sacramento wasn't meant to be.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
The Clippers situation, I don't know. I feel wrong place, wrong time, but I still super believe in Isaiah Hartenstein, who again is now on his 5th team.
Yeah.
And looks like he might legit have a home now with Clippers. So who knows?
Yeah.
I just think this team has so many bigs. They have the Kevin Love situation they need to resolve. And then now you toss down Lowry's giant contract. I don't know. They need a 3. I don't believe in Okoro as a long-term 3 because his offensive game has so much room to grow. I think until they have a 3 Gordon Hayward, Cleveland.
To play with Isaac Okoro. Because,
makes them a playoff team. That 10 through 6 range.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be. I don't know how it gets done. I'm thinking about guys who we've talked about.
Somebody with that profile would be nice.
Yeah, give them a solid 3. Someone who can create offensively, and this team is going to be awesome. Or Isaac Okoro takes a step that a lot of people believe he can. And they've got a really bright future. I'm with you. I don't think it's panic button time.
No.
I just think they've made some really dumb moves as far as throwing money at Lowry and Denzel, and the Kevin Love situation's still on their team.
I think to sum it up, I think they took some risk on short term, but their long term vision is pretty clear with who they trust. So
I think so.
Buy and sell, Dave, 1 player each. What are we buying on this team?
I'm buying Mobley, and I know that's not a tough buy. That's super obvious. He's so fucking talented. I love him. I just don't want. I want to see him used in multiple roles this year to try to see hey, is he going to Do you know what I mean? Like DeAndre Ayton was someone who we watched in college take shots and face up, and it's almost like they eliminated part of that game from his game.
Yeah.
And almost the same thing with Mo Bamba. For his first year, like he wasn't taking the same amount of threes. He didn't have the green light. I want to see Mobley be able to work and create in the mid range,
Yeah.
and play a face up game. I don't want them to try to make him into a traditional big. Like he is a unique fucking unicorn potential kind of guy. Like he wants to be Anthony Davis esque. Let him grow in that mold. That's my like. I want to see that happen for him.
Yeah, I will. I'll buy Isaac Okoro. Another. I mentioned a lot of my guys. He's one of them. And then I don't have to ask you. We're both going to sell Lauri Markkinen on this team. Doesn't make sense. Just complete. Doesn't make sense.
He's a bench big, and he's not worth the money.
All right. Moving on to the next team in this division, it will be shout out Soapy Detroit Pistons.
Shout out
Hamadan.
They're new. What was his title? Ben Wallace is with the organization in front office in some capacity.
Player development and
player
or something like that.
Ooh.
So players they lost Mason Plumgod. They traded him to the Charlotte Hornets, and Wayne Ellington went to the LA Lakers.
But that's okay.
In the draft, clearly they had the number 1 pick, and they took Cade Cunningham. At 42, they took Isaiah Livers, and at 52, they took Luka Garza, and at 57, they took Balsa Koprivica. I can't say it honestly. And in free agency, they added Kelly Olynyk. They re-signed Corey Joseph. They added Trey Lyles, and they re-signed Saban Lee. So going from one exciting young team to another, probably the most exciting young team in the league, or at least one of them. Like this team is just full of young talent. The expectations of this team, they're not making the play-in. I don't believe that. But we get to see Killian and Cade. Hopefully Cade gets healthy. Killian and Cade together. Exciting, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, Killian missed out on, the core of his first season, which I think a lot of people, the rough start left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, and they don't understand, like, how much better he looked in the second half of the season after he came back off that injury. So I think Killian has a lot to prove to a lot of people this year. And they seem very confident in running Cade on and off ball. I think that gives them a good set so they can mix and match backcourts, because they just have guys who, on the bench who won't space the floor, like Hamidou Diallo, somebody who's just going to attack the rim viciously and relentlessly, which I fucking love. But you got to have like a legit guy in the backcourt who can always space and pass. So I love that they're committed to having Killian be a point guard, while encouraging Cade to play off ball at the same time. So I think that looks really good on paper. Really confident about that. Their wings, I mean, dude, this is a ton of fun. Like Jeremy Grant, after the start of the season where everybody kind of went like, oh, guess he is worth the money. Like, I feel like it died off very quickly.
Flatlined.
Yeah.
He was
he's still a good player.
He's very good. And I still think he is worth the money that he got. He just somewhat inconsistently offensively, but defensively he's always there. He's always a force. His wingspan is trouble for offensive players. Like, this team is just full of talent. Even getting a guy like Corey Joseph, Isaiah Stewart, Beef Stew was a revelation for some last year with the talent that he played with. And
I shit on them for that pick because I was like, how dare you waste a pick that high on Beef Stew?
Yeah, how about that? He's just one.
And he just looks fantastic.
And then all rookie first team Sadiq Bey. I mean,
this man.
He's unbelievable.
This man.
He's unbelievable.
Woo.
He's unbelievable. Like, he is, and he's going to grow his ball handling ability this year, I assume.
That's the big next step for him. I don't know if it'll be this year, but like that's the big thing in his future because his offensive skill set, he's such a dead-eye shooter, and he's a rhythm shooter at that.
Yeah.
If he can get to the point where he can create for himself and find those openings on the court, watch the fuck out.
Yeah. I guess obviously we kind of with the Cavs we did last time. We'll talk long term with this team because this season again, exciting young talent. Not going to win too many games. Low expectations. So long term, obviously your first three are first three are set. You have Sadiq Bey, you have Cade Cunningham, and you have Killian Hayes.
Yeah.
Beef Stew, is he their starting 5 long term? I think he's a backup 5 long term. I think he is the perfect backup 5. I think Soapy even agrees with me. I think we've had this discussion before. Jeremy Grant most likely isn't long term, but this team is going to be back in the top 5, hopefully again, if the lottery doesn't screw them. But getting a guy like Cade alters your franchise. This team, they had young talent. Yes, they Killian. Yes, bad first year, he was hurt. Whatever. You can still see the talents there. Sadiq Bey taking a huge jump like that, wow. And then Beef Stew, obviously. Getting a guy like Cade Cunningham, who is a franchise-altering type player, like, was he the second best player in the draft? Yes. But he still is, like, an incredibly, like, not many people would have been number one, you know? It's just hard to beat the guy who was number one. He is an incredibly talented guard. He can play off ball. He can play on ball. Defensively, he's tremendous, and he can make players around him
offensively
better.
though. Yes, I mean, there's like he has no holes. He's a three level scorer. And a lot of people want to point the fact that like Oklahoma State sucked as a team.
I don't care.
But he elevated the floor of everyone on that team. Like they had so many good looks on the offensive end. He carried them at times to just unreal standards. So like I think that this is. And I didn't want to say it out loud, but I'm like, are we sure that they're a bottom 5 team? Because we've seen players come in and change a franchise in 1 year and lift a team up. We've seen, I'm not saying, like he's going to do what Ja Morant or LeBron James or, like these rookies who had that like one season and you just saw the results were actually there because they came into the right situation. But like if you squint your eyes a little and go, I mean like Cade, Killian, Bey, Grant and Kelly O, that's a team who could fight for that 10th seed.
Best case scenario, they could fight for the 10 seed. Worst case scenario is Cade going to be healthy right off the bat. He has the ankle injury. Killian going to stay healthy the entire year. Like, no, I'm just saying those are the things to consider with this team.
No,
I think it's going to take some time for Killian and Cade to gel together. Like I already know their chemistry off the court from what I've seen on Twitter. At least is 100%. It's A+. I don't know. I can't say for sure they're a bottom 5 team. Like they could be better than Cleveland. Clearly, they could be better than Orlando if they don't get healthy. Washington could fall apart because of the whatever they have on their roster. They could be better than them. Then who's left for them to be better than is the question. Yeah. Because Indiana, Toronto, Charlotte, Boston, like
Indiana we haven't talked about, but they're also hilariously injury prone.
Yeah, like it's just.
But no, I mean I think that's the thing is though like this would be the team that's like. Even if they finished at 11th,
that'd be huge.
I would be like, fucking, they're on their way. Like, that year when, this is like a little different, but the year that the Nuggets were on the outside looking in, and it was literally the last game of the year kind of situation. And it was just like,
was it that the
this fucking team? It might have been.
When he made the half-court shot to win it, basically?
Which time? He did it fucking 4 years in a row.
When he won MVP. Like the one where he made the half-court shot basically to win the game in Denver at the last game of the season or something like that.
But it was like a fucking beacon to the whole league. Like, hey, we're fucking next. Like, it was that kind of a moment. And I think that this team, if everything falls the right way, could be that this year. That would be way overachieving. Don't get me wrong. But, like, I love a lot of the pieces on this team. And, like, we haven't talked about the knucklehead Josh Jackson, who... seemingly has his career back together on the court. I don't know the situation off, but like on the court, he seemed together. He seemed like he is aggressive defensively, which is God-given gifts for. He was just fucking lazy. Offensively, he's not taking all the wrong shots. So like, I'm excited about him being, the athletic beast off the fucking bench.
Yep.
Hamidou, I straight love. I'm glad they re-signed him because it felt like that was a throwaway, moving off Svi for Hamidou. Because again, either way, we're not going to pay him. Let's just test him out. But they did end up signing Hamidou. So I'm excited to see if he continues to grow because he is just springs for legs, man. He is awesome. So there's so many young pieces in this team who are like, there's a lot of upside left on this,
Yeah, and I love the opportunity for Luka Garza to learn from Kelly Olynyk.
Oh,
I think Luka
Garza, that's a great mentor.
They converted Luka Garza to a full contract, NBA contract now. I think originally he was going to be on a 2-way, and then he just balled out consistently, and they're like, yeah, he needs to be on an NBA contract. His role in the NBA could grow into what Kelly Olynyk is now. And having a guy like that who can mentor him is huge. I know Kelly Olynyk, obviously...
Second half fucking MVP Kelly Olynyk. Put some respect on the goddamn Rockets.
Some controversial stuff that he's done on the court in the past, but...
He's a scumbag.
He's such a good stretch 5, and he just like... Yeah. And
the court vision, though, showing now. That was the biggest... Like, I didn't know that this man could be... watered down Jokic.
Yeah.
Like, that was his role in Houston with a bunch of kids. And it worked well. They didn't win a lot of games, but that was kind of the point.
Yeah.
But it's what he gives you as like that. I can stretch the floor. I can pass out of the high post. I can keep moving the ball. And he's a smart player. And I think you're right. That is almost the perfect mentor for Luka Garza to mold his game after.
Yeah, the big problem with this team is going to be consistency off the bench. We're going to see guys like Josh Jackson and Corey Joseph and Saban Lee and Isaiah Stewart or Kelly Olynyk, one of the two. It's just like if they have one injury, that bench just turns to complete crap. Like it is just like
they're playing like 15 deep. Like there's no reason to not give minutes out like left and right.
Pierce doesn't do that. So because not Lloyd Pierce,
Dwayne Casey. I was
thinking of bad rotations, and I thought of Lloyd Pierce because it just came back from our previous conversation. But yeah.
Bad offense.
Willing to play young guys. We'll see if he consistently does that. Obviously, Cade and Killian will play, but like the farther guys on the back end of the bench, are we going to see Saban Lee get some minutes? Is Luka Garza going to get some minutes? Like Hamidou Diallo, how much of a stretch is he going to get? Josh Jackson, etc. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
One player to buy, one player to sell for the Detroit Pistons. Dave, who are they going to be?
I'm going to probably.
We've just been agreeing on these the entire time.
I know, that's why I'm trying to go on my way. I'm buying Kelly O because I fucking love him. And I think like the Plum God to Kelly O flip is like almost a net neutral. Like Plum God played really well for them. And I think that Kelly O can step in and do the same thing. I want to make sure that minutes balance, like you said, we don't take away too many minutes from the young kids for, a 30-year-old center. And then my guy who I'm not a huge fan of, or I have lower expectations from, a Selenon.
It's hard with this team, man, because there's not a lot of guys that like they're gonna play that are like you're low on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess like Josh Jackson, who I still like, I'm rooting for because he's was a top draft pick for a reason, and he's hopefully getting his life together. But he's the guy who he might be flipped for somebody. I'll put it that way. Like I feel like he's a guy who could end up being on a team contributing for a playoff run by May.
I'll buy all of the Killian Hayes stock because I still think he's a tremendous player. And for the first time, I'm going to sell Dwayne Casey stock because I don't believe in him as the coach long term of this team. Is that really controversial? I don't believe in him long term.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's what we'll do with them. And then the next team is we're interesting one here. The Indiana Pacers. The players they lost in the offseason, they trade Aaron Holiday to the Wizards, as we discussed before, and Doug McDermott to the San Antonio Spurs. That's a giant loss, even though people would want to talk about it. He almost came to the Sixers. Still very sad that he didn't. But in the draft, they added Chris Duarte at 13 and Isaiah Jackson at 22. In free agency, they re-signed their best player, T.J. McConnell. They signed Torrey Craig and Kiefer Sykes. I don't even know who that is. I don't even know who that is. I was gonna say
no fucking clue. Hang on, Kiefer Sykes. He went to Green Bay. No clue. I'm not gonna bullshit any fans out there. I don't know.
Undrafted rookie. So I'm not gonna bullshit you. We did so much draft stuff, and I didn't see
that name was not in our top 60. Was in our top 70.
No. Probably I don't my top 80. Probably would have been my top 80.
No, Jake has access. Like I have a smattering draft board of like literally 100 names. I don't think his name was on there.
No. So big place to start for me. Losing Doug McDermott and adding Chris Duarte is almost a lateral move for me because I think Chris Duarte is a tremendous talent, and he walks in at the age of 24 into the NBA. So he's just gonna walk in and be a role player. Like I likened him in my draft breakdown to Danny Green and the role that he's going to play for a team. Like his ball handling ability, he can get to the rack and pass out of double teams. His vision is it's somewhat underrated, I think. His vision is actually pretty good. Shooting, you know what you're going to get for him. Defensively, definitely a step down from Danny Green, but like he's still very good defensively. This team, they've been strong in basically every trade talk that there's been this offseason. They still are talking to the Sixers about Ben Simmons. So there's a lot of moving parts with this roster, and the long-term fit. Obviously, we know Sabonis and Turner. Turner's gonna go. So there's no way they're trading Sabonis right now.
I don't know. So like that's the thing. Like it feels like everybody's so set on flipping Turner, but I feel like Sabonis might be the more valuable guy to move. It's up to Carlisle, and that's the unique thing is new coach, and I feel like new power in the front office has been given to him to help make some of these decisions. I don't know if he's a guy who wants to build around Sabonis. Like you said, the whole roster feels like it's in the air. TJ Warren, we haven't seen play fucking basketball in 2 years. So we don't know there. Keras Levert is an incredible story because they found out that he had cancer after the trade happened because of the medicals that are required. He's able to come back, get healthy, but it's just I don't know if he is, a guy you build a team around, or he's just, a great bench piece. Like he's kind of like in that Eric Gordon mold for me of a role player who, can elevate his game given extra touches.
Yeah.
I know you got a guy on this team they love in O'Shea Brissett.
I have 3 guys on this team, Dave.
Yeah.
I have 3. Really 4, because Brogdon's a fringe my guy. But TJ, Duarte, and a Brissett, like,
yeah,
you're just building the teams. They're just building for me to root for them. I just think like expectations wise, I think play-in is the expectation for them. I still think like this is a fringe team though that like we just talked about Detroit. If they could somehow jump up to that 10 seed, if Indiana does struggle, which I don't think they will, I want to make that clear. I think Rick Carlisle is a very good coach, and I think he's one of the best in the NBA. And them getting him is a massive upgrade. I just don't know about the vision of this roster clearly isn't there right now. Brogdon just played phenomenal in the last preseason game for them. I think when I saw he was 11 for 12 with like 24.
Yeah, he couldn't fucking miss.
Yeah, so he was phenomenal. You have a guy like TJ McConnell backing him up, who is one of the best bench point guards. Like as much as we like to meme him, like they didn't believe me at first, and then he went to Indiana and away from.
No, it was Archie Diacono versus TJ McConnell and Joe Gitter meme back at point guards. You win clearly.
Yeah, one actually still gets playing time in the NBA once it's on the bench. So
yeah.
But yeah, like long term with this team, Malcolm Brogdon, not long term, sorry, in this season with this team, Brogdon, Levert, Duarte, Sabonis, Turner. Is that the starting lineup going into the season if they don't make a trade for one Ben Simmons?
If Levert's healthy.
That's also the question.
I don't know if he's healthy to start the season. I think he and Warren are both missing time.
Yes, I know Warren is. I don't know about Levert. I thought Levert was practicing again, so I could be wrong, but if he doesn't,
while you talk.
If he's not available, does Justin Holiday slide into the starting role? Does an O'Shea Brissett slide into the starting role?
Holiday is the guy who's ready. He's played well in the past. Like, they have no problem with that. I just think with the reason back to the Turner and Sabonis thing. Yeah.
The reason I think Turner's still the one to go is drafting Isaiah Jackson makes me think they think him and Sabonis could work together. Okay. Freak athleticism, off-ball movement with Isaiah Jackson, with Sabonis in his passing range and his passing ability. That would probably be my vision. I don't see Miles Turner and Isaiah Jackson long-term ever playing together. That just doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, if TJ Warren comes back and if Keras Levert comes back and stays healthy, this team would make the play, and I'd almost lock it in. If they don't, this team has a massive question mark of their consistent minutes. What was that?
Keras Levert, as of the 1st of October, was a back injury with a stress fracture.
Okay, so we don't know.
Dun dun dun. Woj tweet.
Injury reports to only TJ Warren on Basketball Reference. So.
Okay. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I like. What are like headlines for this team besides Sabonis and Turner? What is something going into the season that you're watching with this team that you think could be like?
Watching to see who gets traded. Yeah. That's it. I'm just watching to see who gets traded because I think that they have. It just feels like a better they have guys who are legit NBA starters, but we haven't seen them play together, so we don't know how to cap them off. Like, in theory, Sabonis is very, very good. Terrible defend, very good offensively, terrible defender. Can't rim protect, also can't get out on the perimeter. So, you're stuck with how do you build around that? In theory, Turner should be a good fit, but at the same time, we've now seen the experiment for years.
It's clunky.
It's not. It's not a good fit.
It's almost. It reminds me almost of the Nerlens Embiid scenario where they tried to do it in Philly, and it was clear that Nerlens should be the backup center and Embiid should be the starting center, but they're like, we gotta press forward with this Nerlens, and it just doesn't work. They're
both starter
very
quality
good players. They're two.
Yeah.
Miles Turner on the Knicks just makes so much sense that it hasn't happened. That's been what's rumored for a while. It obviously now it probably won't happen because the Knicks, Mitchell Robinson coming back and all that. We'll see if he stays healthy.
Hopefully.
It just probably doesn't happen. I guess. I mean, this will be the only one of the only ones we actually talked about trade rumors. Is that the rumor is
it's hard not to.
It's Brogdon and Levert going to Philly and Ben Simmons coming back to Indiana. What would that? Why? I guess why?
Because it sets them up for a much better roster. Because I think that the problem they're facing right now is they've got a bunch of guys who are in their prime.
Yeah.
But they're not a team that's ready to compete. This is not a team that can make a deep run of the playoff. They feel like best case scenario is getting bounced in the second round after a tough first round. Like if they had Thibs as their coach, this would have been a second round team if healthy. No questions in my mind. They could have got there. They would have fought through and gotten bounced. And they seem like a capped team already. And the problem is that their best players are already in their prime. So it's like, how do you tweak a roster enough to get that just extra little bit of zhuzh on top to get you guys zhuzh, to help you guys compete against the top teams in the NBA? Because it's very clear what the Bucks and the Nets bring to the table. And now with the Heat, the Bulls, the Celtics, the Hawks, all in that hunt right behind there with their futures laid out, it's like you can compare, put it on paper, and you can see we're not ready to beat any of those teams in a series of 7. So how do we fix a roster that's already prime ready?
Yeah.
Well, we could take 2 really good pieces that we like them, but we can add a Ben Simmons. What does that do? That gives us incredible defense, a ball handler in the half court, someone who can, attack the rim, but is not going to necessarily space the floor. That's fine because Harris wasn't known for spacing anyway. He was a heavy ball handler, not a phenomenal assist to turnover ratio kind of guy. So like that's fine because you went and drafted Chris Duarte, who can space the floor. He can give you that extra spacing.
Oh, that would hurt.
TJ Warren can knock down every shot that you give him. It's the last time we've seen him play basketball. So again, if you have someone who can attack, and attack the paint with Sabonis spacing, Turner spacing, like if they decide to keep both and they flip their backcourt for Ben Simmons, that would work out really well in my opinion. Also could be a reset button, but I think that realistically, this is a team that's looking to continue competing for the next 3 years.
I was going to say, I don't want to go too tinfoil with this team, but I feel like if they do acquire Ben Simmons, they are going to retool the roster and fully build around him. Like, if Ben comes in, I think Sabonis goes out. I don't think that those two stay together and play long term. I don't really see the fit because I think I don't want to get into a whole Ben Simmons rumors, but he wants a team built around him, and I don't think him and Sabonis fit very well together. And we've seen Ben and Fitz, and apparently he doesn't like Fitz. So it's just like
Sabonis for the last 10 games of the season was a fucking.
He's amazing, but they could get a lot of return for him.
He was Jokic. He literally was just Nikola Jokic with worse defense. It was disgusting.
Well, yeah, let's just get Sabonis on the Hornets and let's give them whoever they want. That's not my
PJ Washington and something.
Would you trade Book Night for him? Book Night and PJ Washington, and then you need a salary filler.
It's so hard to know what.
Just saying the interesting.
I mean, he is an all-star. That's the thing. Like Sabonis is an all-star. He's absolutely worth. What was Book Knight's draft position? Like 11. 14 or something? 11. Okay. Yeah, 11 and another starter in Washington. Yeah, that's about It's probably value-wise. Yeah, if you toss in another protected first or something, sure.
All right, Dave. 1 player to buy, 1 player to sell for the Indiana Pacers. I'm going to go first. Player to buy is O'Shea Brissett, pretty clearly for me, and I think the player to sell. I would probably guy we didn't even mention. I'd probably lean Jeremy Lamb because I think they were expecting to play backup guard minutes, and I don't really see it with him anymore. I've kind of just remember when he was the main piece for the James Harden trade. It's just kind of fallen off.
Yeah. Sad.
And anybody to buy or sell, Dave, for the Indiana Pacers?
I mean, I'm selling Keras Levert.
Sell.
Yeah, selling Keras Levert. I was the first on this man's hype train. Coming out of college. I was first on him. I was first on OG. I have something in mind what I'm looking for these players. The problem was that Keras blew up because he got all the touches, because he became the guy when there were injuries on that Nets team, and he was working with Kenny Atkinson, who was an excellent coach for ball handling guards. He was just the emphasis of right place, right time, and he just shined so bright. But the flaws in his game are very clear. And I think that people try to put him on a pedestal the same way that Victor Oladipo, he isn't that guy. He's a very good guy. He's very good. He's not great. He's not an all-star. He's not an all-NBA. That is not his role. So no, I'm selling on Keras Levert. I would buy.
There's a couple people to buy on this team, I'm telling you.
I'm gonna be lazy and say Duarte. I think he's that one's just the easy.
Cover 2 of my guys. There you go. You're good. No, it is. Yeah. It is the easy one because he's gonna play.
I love Sabonis. I just don't know how much better he gets with the roster as is. TJ Warren, again, it's 2 seasons without watching him play.
Yeah.
I literally have no idea what to expect out of him.
Yeah.
So I think that Duarte he's a plug and play NBA player day one, and I think that that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I love when people were throwing TJ Warren into Ben talks like he had any value. I'm like, he literally has no value because he has not played in 2 years. Like, just strictly true. The last team in this division is the defending NBA champions, the Milwaukee Bucks. They lost in the offseason Sam Merrill to the Grizzlies. I forgot he even went there. PJ Tucker to the Miami Heat and Bryn Forbes to the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, I thought they already lost him after the first round because he just didn't do anything. In the draft, they drafted Sandro Mamu. Not saying the rest of the name. Do you want to say the rest of the name?
Mamu.
Mamu.
That's fine.
54th, and then they drafted Georgios something, 60th overall from Greece, obviously. The Giannis connection. They traded for Grayson Allen, and in free agency, they
huge pickup.
Re-signed Bobby Portis. They signed Semi Ojeleye and George Hill. So
yeah,
championship is their expectations like that.
Champs got. I can I just say it? I think they got better.
Yeah,
I think that this is a roster that improved on itself. They brought back Bobby Portis, which was key. He was massive for them down the run through the end of the season. I think that's a massive pickup for them to get him back on a sweetheart, hometown quote unquote deal. A lot of teams were looking to get him, my Bulls included, to get him back. So congrats to them for taking care of that. Grayson Allen, another pickup, which if you want a ball handling guard who can knock down shots and play incredible defense, yeah. I mean, they got him for pennies on the dollar because Memphis was like, we've got too many people for this role. We literally can't put him in the minutes he needs to get. And like Grayson's a kid who's still emotional, and I think that's the only thing that, that's the wild card of it. He's someone who has worked on, but still has very clear anger issues. So I think for him, it's just growth, as a person, as a human being. But on the basketball court, he's a very good basketball player. And I think that, he's going to get his fair share of looks because this is a fucking elite roster.
Yep.
And they're going to be blowing out teams, I think, the same way that they were, in the years past. Mamu is a perfect pickup for them because Brook Lopez is not going to be there forever. Mamu has a unique skill set that can't be duplicated often. So I think that him with Brook as a mentor, I think long-term that's the right move for them to go. I hope he gets some minutes up in the NBA this season. Probably going to be a G League guy, though. Like, they've got a lot of young pieces that are going to mix in, and their core at the top. I mean, Brook, Chris, Drew, and Giannis is the guy. Like, I don't know how you top.
Yeah.
Like, they added the right pieces around their supporting cast, and, you go, hey, Pat Con will be healthy this year. We've got Dante. Like, hey, they've got athletic shooting wings.
Yeah.
You've got floor spacing everywhere. Congrats, you've got a really good team again. Jordan Nwora, never seen a shot he didn't like. If he gets minutes in the NBA again this year, cool. If he doesn't, also cool. I don't, he's a bucket guy.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels like this is just a really well-constructed roster, great spacing. It's the modern NBA with the best player in the NBA right now. Yeah.
You just took all my points away from me. But yes, I believe that they needed to get better too because they were
did.
A Kevin Durant toe away from not being in the Eastern Conference Finals. The best player in the world, Kevin Durant. I'll just put that one out there.
True.
I no disrespect to KD right there.
You're right.
This roster is what they are. I mean, even bring back the corpse of George Hill. Like, he didn't do much for us last year, but he's fine on this team. The role, he's already been in this role before. He played well in it. So, like, it is what it is there. Grayson Allen is an upgrade to Bryn Forbes, a massive upgrade to Bryn Forbes in my mind.
Yeah.
And then the big thing was retaining Bobby Portis for how huge he was down the stretch. He took a discount to stay in Milwaukee because I think he said he's finally happy, and I think that's a huge thing for a player. There's not much to say because they're championship. That's their expectations.
So here's the dumb thing. They're the champs. They got better. Are they your favorites to be champs again?
No.
I think no one in the league says that they are.
No, because
not a single person would take them.
No, no. But again, you lean towards star power in the NBA, and they have a star, but they don't have multiple. That's just what it is. Like,
is their coach going to hold them back this season in the playoffs?
I think it is incredibly hard to repeat. Let's lay that out there first. It is incredibly hard to repeat in the NBA. Very rarely does it happen multiple times. The Warriors, obviously, with Kevin Durant, Steph, and Clay did it. But even trying to three-peat, no, they didn't because it's ridiculously hard to try to three-peat. So the last chance to repeat were the Warriors and the Heat, or those the two.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have Steph, Clay, and KD, or you have to have LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. So like that's what it takes to repeat in the NBA. That's how
Giannis's name is in the same category as KD and
correct.
LeBron and Steph.
But who's next? It's multiple stars to be able to.
That's the cool thing about this team is they're built around Giannis, emphasizing and exploiting Giannis to the utmost potential. We have 50, 40, 90 at almost two positions between Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. You have two of the best two-way players in the NBA out there with him at the same time. Like, I don't know. I just keep saying it's one of the best crafted rosters in the NBA.
Yeah, them and the Hawks.
But you're right. I mean, the top end talent is just like the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Nets are all right there with them, if not ahead of them.
Yeah, I agree. I just think like again, the Nets have trouble staying healthy. If they don't stay healthy, the Bucks are the favorites in the East. Then like the Bucks.
If the Nets don't, if Kyrie doesn't get the shot.
The Bucks
they're not favorites.
No, the Bucks are getting the 1 seed if Kyrie doesn't get the shot.
Yeah.
I just think it's as simple as that. And I still think it's not really a spoiler. I think I probably will have the Bucks as the 1 seed in the East just cuz like even if the Nets stay healthy, Harden's going to miss games like just resting, Giannis doesn't do that very often. Does he do that this year is a question mark. I don't think so.
No, he takes rest during the game because his team's kicking the shit out of the other team.
It's like the 2015,
he's going to miss fourth quarters.
It's 2015-2016 Warriors what the Bucks are. And they'll do that even to more than they did last year. Again, like this team is very good. The starting lineup is going to be remaining the same, I believe. Like
pretty much
the bench, it just improves.
The only thing that might change, they might start Dante or probably Dante.
Yeah, they'll start Dante. He was hurt at the end of last year, so they even get Dante back. That's an upgrade because he was hurt in the finals run last year. It's upgrades all around. I really this year I want a Milwaukee and Miami playoff series because I think that this year would be so interesting. Winner plays the Nets would most likely be what's going to happen. Dave, final team in this division, buy one, sell one. Who you buying?
I mean, fucking the whole team's awesome. Like, I'll buy Mamu because I fucking have been standing this man for months. No, I'm buying Grayson Allen. I got to stay on brand.
All right.
Got to stay on brand with Grayson Allen.
I'll buy Dante. I think Dante.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a huge year.
Dante was phenomenal, but people sleep on him because they won the finals without him. And I will sell. Oh, you're going to hate it. I'm going to sell Bobby Portis just because I still think he is a very good player. I don't think he has the impact he had last year. And there's another player to sell. It's George Hill. I think he's out of the rotation by the end of the year. But
yeah, I mean George might be a bench guy. Yeah, it's really hard. Like you have to go deep.
You can sell Bud.
Yeah, I will. I'll sell Bud because again, he literally almost footstep away in that one game from being out of the playoffs because guess what? He didn't make the right adjustments on the fucking court. Exactly. That is the thing. I do want to throw out there. Am I reading this right? Is Rodney Hood's corpse on this team?
Correct.
Do you think he will play minutes?
No. Well,
okay. It's one of those things. Like he's always a guy who I was like, I'm hoping that he comes back because he was such a fun player.
He was so good at Duke and in Portland, and he just kept getting hurt. Like he was such a talented player. If he can stay healthy, it's a plus.
Yeah, I mean that's just I'm rooting for him. Like low key off to the side. I'm gonna keep my eye over there and see.
Yeah. All right.
And this is just championship or bust year, right? Yeah. Expectation.
But they won last year, so I don't really call it a bust. Like if they.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
If you repeat, good. If you don't, but you won last
year.
Repeat,
amazing. But yeah.
If you won last year. But yeah, that'll do it for the Central Division. Again, check down below our Patreon channel memberships and join our Discord and leave a comment and a like if you want to yell at us, down in the comments. Or better way to yell at us is on the Discord. You can add us directly and maybe sometimes
the daily.
Sometimes we'll respond. But that'll do it for us. And I hope everybody has a great day.